Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from Saba Satellite Channel from Marib. Let's begin with the headlines.
President Al-Alimi reviews economic developments after IMF suspends activities in Yemen.
Mothers of abductees call for excluding Houthi figures from prisoner talks in Muscat.
"12 killed in Bundi Beach shooting, and the Australian authorities call it terrorist act." Welcome back, and to the details. President Dr. Rashad Mohammed Al-Alimi, President of the Presidential Leadership Council, met on Sunday with the Speaker of the Shura Council and head of the National Bloc of Political Parties, Dr. Ahmed Ubaid bin Dagr, to consult on recent domestic developments, particularly in the Eastern Governorates, and their political, economic, and service-related implications.
During the meeting, President Al-Alimi reiterated his appreciation for the mediation efforts of the Saudi-led coalition, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, aimed at reducing tensions and restoring normal conditions in Hadramaut and Al-Mahra. He briefed the Shura Council Speaker on presidential communications, seeking the withdrawal of forces brought in from outside the Eastern Governorates and efforts to contain the impact of escalation on national stability.
President Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, President of the Presidential Leadership Council, held a phone call with Central Bank Governor Ahmed Ghalib to review the latest economic and monetary developments and the potential repercussions of the International Monetary Fund's decision to suspend its activities in Yemen.
According to a source at the Presidential Office, the President was briefed on progress in implementing Presidential Leadership Council decisions aimed at correcting revenue collection imbalances and safeguarding financial and monetary stability. Discussions also covered efforts needed to contain the impact of the IMF decision on currency stability, fuel and commodity flows, and basic services.
President Al-Alimi praised the Saudi-led coalition for their mediation efforts to reduce tensions and restore stability in Hadramaut and Al-Mahra, stressing that political stability is essential for successful economic reforms. He warned that continued escalation would undermine recovery efforts and donor confidence, reiterating that restoring state institutions and ending the coup remains the top national priority.
Yemen took part today in the 11th Global Forum of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, hosted by the Saudi capital Riyadh, with the delegation headed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, Dr. Shaya Zandani. The forum is being held under the theme Alliance of Civilizations, 2 decades of dialogue for humanity, moving forward toward a new era of mutual respect and understanding in a multipolar world.
The conference comes at a time of growing international need to strengthen dialogue, understanding, and coexistence among civilizations, confront intolerance and hate speech, and explore mechanisms to prevent identity-based conflicts. Participants are also discussing ways to support international efforts aimed at promoting peace and global security amid increasing global challenges.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Dr. Shaya Zandani held a series of bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the 11th Global Forum of the UN Alliance of Civilizations held in the Saudi capital Riyadh. Dr. Zandani met with Herbert Scheibner, Austria's special envoy promoting his country's candidacy for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council and Vice President of the Austrian Association for Foreign Policy and the United Nations.
The talks reviewed issues of mutual interest and ways to strengthen bilateral relations, with an emphasis on supporting dialogue among civilizations and cultures to promote peace and international stability. Scheibner praised the level of relations between Yemen and Austria and expressed his country's aspiration to expand cooperation.
In a separate meeting, the Yemeni Foreign Minister held talks with Libya's acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Tahir al-Baour, focusing on bilateral relations and enhancing joint cooperation in line with the brotherly ties between the two countries. Dr. Zandani stressed the importance of continued coordination to support security, stability and development in the region, while al-Baour reaffirmed Libya's commitment to strengthening relations and advancing cooperation with Yemen.
A political and security seminar has called for convening a regional conference with international participation to address the growing crisis of irregular migration in Yemen, warning of its serious and escalating repercussions. The seminar, held in Cairo, was organized by the Red Sea Center for Political and Security Studies in partnership with Dialogue Center for Political and Media Studies. Participants stressed the need to establish a financial fund to support efforts tackling the crisis, create a specialized unit within Yemen's Interior Ministry, and enhance coordination and agreements between Yemen and Horn of Africa countries.
Speakers emphasized the importance of supporting Yemeni coastal security forces to combat smuggling, strengthening border security, and developing the capacities of security agencies. They also highlighted the need to support research and policy studies, particularly in migrant-dense areas.
The National Commission to investigate alleged human rights violations has launched a specialized training program in the temporary capital, Aden, focusing on the use of artificial intelligence and open-source tools in documenting human rights violations. The 5-day program, supported by the UN Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, brings together more than 65 participants to enhance professional and technical skills in open-source investigations, the use of AI in documenting and analyzing violations, as well as digital security, transitional justice, and psychological support for human rights workers.
The training also includes reviewing and evaluating fieldwork practices to improve accuracy and credibility. The Commission said the program is part of its ongoing efforts to build institutional capacity and strengthen independent professional documentation and investigations in line with the international human rights standards.
The Mothers of Abductees Association has called for the exclusion of Abdul Qadir al-Murtada, head of the Houthi group's Prisoners Affairs Committee, and his deputy Murad Qasim from the ongoing negotiations in Muscat on this detainee's file. In a statement, the association urged the UN Secretary General and the UN Special Envoy to Yemen to urgently intervene and pressure the Houthi militia to remove the two figures from the negotiating delegation, citing their direct involvement in serious violations against detainees in Houthi-run prisons.
It added that reliable human rights reports and testimonies from journalists, former detainees, survivors, and humanitarian workers have documented systematic physical and psychological torture, including beating, electric shocks, solitary confinement, and deliberate medical neglect, leading to deaths and permanent disabilities. The association recalled that al-Murtada is sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury under the Global Magnitsky Act, stressing that excluding him and his deputy is essential for accountability and justice for victims.
Australian authorities announced on Sunday that the death toll from a shooting attack in the Bondi Beach area of Sydney has risen to 12 people, including one of the attackers. At least 25 others were injured, among them 2 police officers. Australian police confirmed the incident is being treated as a terrorist act, adding that 2 suspects were arrested. Australia's national broadcaster reported that one of at least 2 attackers involved in the assault was killed.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he was shocked by the horrific incident, noting that emergency responders are on the scene working to save lives and support the injured. Meanwhile, New South Wales Premier Chris Minns said the area surrounding the attack remains precautionarily closed, stressing that there is no ongoing threat to the public at this time. Authorities say investigations are continuing as security remains heightened in the area.
The humanitarian tragedy facing displaced Palestinians in the Gaza Strip has intensified as a severe weather system and heavy rainfall swept across the area. Civil defense officials in Rafah said displaced families in Al-Mawasi of Khan Yunis and the outskirts of Rafah are drowning inside the worn-out tents due to flooding caused by heavy rain.
The civil defense warned that the disaster is unfolding amid a lack of basic protection and limited response capacity, leaving rescue teams unable to effectively address the situation. In a video appeal, Mohammed Basal, spokesperson for Gaza's civil defense, said more than 8,300 Palestinians are living in dire conditions in a Zaytun area of Gaza City, sheltering in around 300 tents. He urged immediate action to protect displaced civilians, warning they face death from cold, flooding, or continued Israeli strikes.
For continuous updates, stay with Saba Satellite Channel for Marib. Thank you for watching and have a good time.